So while the sun is setting, I kind of hit upon an interesting idea because I do this about every year for the last few years now, is I will set up my tent. It's kind of like as an inventory to like add in any stuff that like may have been broken. So if I go through here, I've got various stakes that have been bent over, well, one or two different campouts with it. I haven't set up my other tent, but this one, the big one, I've set up, and I've had it set up for a couple days, but I haven't really had anything in it except for maybe this and hanging out in here. But like, it's kind of a good inventory that I take to see, like, again, how things are from the last time I looked at it, what I forgot, and things like that. But one thing I also do is I kind of take out my actual sleeping equipment and I kind of take a peek at that. And then any other stuff that I've picked up over like the course of the last few months when I haven't been using it, I kind of like test and mess around with some of that. So you can see, obviously, the hot tent, I haven't had a tent stove to use with it over the course of the winter as of yet, so the stove jack is largely gone unused. But in my sleep system, I got a mansion basically a few years ago, but in my sleep system, I've picked up a few different things over the last few years, and my latest addition to it. So if I go into here underneath the sleeping bag, I've got a sleeping pad that I got last year that basically, rather than having a thermarest, it is this thing that I got it was pretty cheap, but it still does the job for most of the applications I use it for. And if I can find it in here somewhere, the bag, it does pack pretty small, so it fits right inside with the sleep system, so I can keep it all together right in there and not think about it. Okay, so I've had the modular sleep system for quite a while. This liner I got a few years ago, and then the liner itself I've messed with off and on, and I'm gonna mess around with it again, which is why it's in here. But the pillow here is actually a camp pillow. It's a self-inflating camp pillow. I don't have the bag for it, but I've been messing around with it at night outside of the context of using it outside. But here I've found some things that I don't quite like with it, and I am experimenting with a pillowcase on it to see if it makes it a more pleasant experience to sleep with a little bit, because I find it can be like an air mattress that kind of has the fuzzy stuff going on, and it just doesn't quite work out. So the whole idea is that we're sitting here, and basically, rather than trying it out when we're in an operational situation or out in the field, we're trying it in as close to a situation as we would use it in straight from the get-go, but somewhere like right in the backyard per se. In my case, the backyard is pretty big and it's still kind of cool outside, so yeah. And then we figure out how we're setting things up before we actually get out somewhere, because if we don't figure that out, it may suck because we may be uncomfortable. And this is kind of wise words from anyone that's like in the camping stuff. So like, for example, I figured out that's where I put the light there. I mean, it's kind of inconvenient to turn it off, but like, I've got the pockets right on the sides here, you know. I figured out the ventilation for like warmer weather in this particular tent. We've got that vent there that allows me to vent air through, and then the top there that if I remove the cap completely, it opens it up for a lot of airflow. And when I have the full footprint of the tent, because I also got that, but I don't have it out here with the bags and stuff, then it actually does regulate the heat pretty well, because the airflow is enough such that it doesn't get too hot, but it acts as a shade. So I've used it the full footprint for one camp out. But I was able to set it up to figure out how it goes together before getting out into that situation, because I took time to set it up beforehand, and I figured out what space I can take advantage of and where I can put things. I just haven't figured out how I would put a table in here, set up a computer and things like that if I wanted to do a outside office for a week. But anyway, that's something that I've definitely looked at doing, because I think it would be kind of funny to do a whole week of work and streaming and stuff from outside just to see how it would go. But I don't quite have that figured out, and I'm not sure I would want to do that in the middle of the summer. I think the winter would be the coolest time to do it, but like I said, I don't have a hot tent for that. But this applies to your other things too. So like a lot of people, for some reason, I don't know what it is with companies and liking to put testing stuff on production servers, or with Microsoft releasing Windows updates that haven't been thoroughly tested that end up deleting entire documents folders. But it's things like that, when you don't figure out those kinks before getting out into the field, that really cause you to be miserable. And that's kind of, again, what I'm doing here, so that I know what I need to bring with me to have a good experience out in the middle of nowhere with each piece. So I can take the sleeping bag itself and use it in a smaller tent, but then the bigger tent can also be used in a different situation. I just haven't been able to set up the bigger tent in the winter yet, or had a good setup for testing that. And I've looked at different hot tent stove stuff anyway. But yeah, so test your stuff out before you get out and work with it in an operational environment, because you don't want to lose things or have a bad experience. Which, again, like I said, in software, a lot of people seem to ship stuff out, and I know I can sometimes be the one where it's like, okay, it's new fang-dangled in testing, and I understand that it's testing, but I'm willing to risk it, because, like, for example, with some of my more recent Ship of Arcanian streams, I've been using the testing version of it, and that has led to interesting quirks that I found along the way. But what that also does is it risks it crashing midstream, and I think I've had that happen once or twice, where it crashed midstream, and I'm like, well, that's that. So yeah, if you're going to test something out in the middle of an operational area, be sure to take into account that the risk that's associated with that, and either A, have a backup plan in place, or B, be willing to accept the suckiness that you didn't expect because you're trying something out and didn't take the time to figure out how well it would work and what you need to supplement with or take away to make it a more comfortable experience. If you liked the content, if you enjoyed it, if you think I deserve it, like, comment, subscribe, leave any criticisms you have or what have you. I appreciate it. Feed that algorithm, like I said, and I will see you guys in the next one.